Hello and welcome to RadioTimes.com's Doctor Who review. My name's Hugh.
I'm Sarah.
And this week we're chatting all things arachnids in the UK, the 4th episode of the 11th series of the Modern Doctor Who series. We should just say there's obviously going to be some spoilers for this episode.
Lots of spoilers.
Here on out. So if you haven't seen it for some reason, you know, as we always say, play us on mute so we still get the views.
And then come back and watch us again.
Yeah. This week's story sees the Doctor, played by Jodie Whittaker, finally get her gang back to Sheffield.
30 minutes after they left, I think, wasn't
Yes.
it? Anyway, about half an hour.
That's pretty smooth. After travelling through space and time a bit, she lands them back in Sheffield, and you know it's a bit sad. It's like, oh, are they gonna? Is the band gonna break up?
Bye bye, Doctor.
But then Yaz invites the Doctor in for tea, and it kicks off this whole adventure because there's some spiders in Sheffield that are behaving very oddly. One a couple of doors down from Yaz, one in the home of Graham and Ryan after Graham goes back. And as the episode goes on, we sort of discover that they're linked to this big hotel, and we see all these massive, scary spiders
We
crawling
have to
all
follow
over
the
place.
spiders to find out what the mystery is. Ooh.
Yes, we do.
I wonder where that idea came from. Obviously, lots of shows can have the idea
Yeah.
to follow the spiders. I am referencing, of course, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
I didn't even know that, but that's a good point. Yeah, that is.
Keeping the Potterheads alive. Anyway, back to you, Hugh.
Yeah, I kind of feel like we'll go more into the plot in depth as we go along. But yeah, that's basically it. The Doctor and the crew are sort of trying to find out why have the spiders gotten so big, why are spiders behaving so oddly, they're being aggressive, and spiders aren't normally aggressive. That's probably what you may read. And yeah, and then what's causing it, and is it in any way linked to Yaz's mum, who has been at the hotel and obviously in the flat where spider stuff's going on.
There is, I think, though, a really kind of poignant bit when we, get back to Sheffield and they're kind of seeing the Doctor. And Graham does go home to the house, and he's on his own, but he's not on his own.
He's not.
No.
He sees a dream ghost. I don't know if you've watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Your dream ghost.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sing it. You should check it out. Find it.
It's a great
not,
song.
not until you've watched this, though, obviously.
Yeah, just
Stay
multi-tab
here.
it, multi-tab. You guys know what to do. Basically, Grace, played by Sharon D. Clarke, who was Graham's wife for 3 years, and Ryan's nan, well, she sort of comes back in a kind of hallucinatory form.
Yeah, I don't think she's really back. It's just that Graham is seeing her and
Yeah.
seeing that staying in Sheffield means having her ghost with him all the time.
Yes, basically. Her
And
memory.
It's kind of comforting, but it's also he sees her everywhere he's been, and he's not ready for that.
No, and it's you were saying it's kind of Bradley Walsh every week is giving us a gut punch of
Yeah.
sad Bradley. And sadly,
He's so good though.
He's really
I
good.
think it's really, I know we've mentioned in previous episodes, I kind of wasn't too sure about him when he was first announced, and I absolutely eat my words. He's been fabulous throughout, and I think actually, of all the characters we've seen through these first few episodes, he has made probably the biggest impact for me.
you're probably right. Yeah, I think you can really feel the writers enjoy writing Graham.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of sort of, I don't want to say thematic, but I'm going to say thematic neat
Yeah.
to like his character. Like
I don't
there's
know what that means.
It's just a lot. It means there's a lot for them to kind of play with story-wise.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like things they can do with his character because he has this kind of emotional backstory.
And you can see as well where he was cast before they were really sure what they were even doing with the Doctor yet.
Yeah, they definitely had an
And
idea.
they knew, so I'm guessing Chris Chibnall visualised Graham quite early on. And I think that's possibly why Graham's writing has been so strong.
Yes, sorry. I thought you
Yeah.
meant Graham had been writing the show. But yes, I understand what you mean.
But like, that's why his storylines, his plots are probably, I think, better developed than any other character possibly.
Yeah, you mean even the Doctor?
Well, no, obviously not even the Doctor, but I just mean of the supporting
Yeah,
companions.
of the crew. Yeah, I think definitely you're right.
Anyway, sorry, I've gone on off on a tangent.
No,
there.
it's good though because that is a strong point in the episode. But I think sadness wasn't the only emotion you were feeling during tonight's adventure, was it?
No. Oh, you asked me, was it too scary?
Was this episode too scary?
Yeah. So I got to watch this episode a little earlier than obviously it originally broadcast. We get a little preview beforehand. And the only reason I bring this up is not to humble brag, but because when I was sitting at my desk in work and watching it, I screamed so loud when I saw the first spider that the whole office turned around. So I have mortified myself for Doctor Who this week.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting because I watched it and I didn't find it that scary.
I don't know how you didn't, but okay.
I mean, it's airing quite near Halloween, so obviously you kind of expect it to be quite scary. And there are a couple of moments that kind of, there's that bit where Yaz is leaning against the wall, and then behind the wall you see the spider crawling, and that's quite creepy.
I didn't find that as bad as when the Doctor looks under the bed.
And that Ryan looks under the bed.
Is it Ryan? Sorry, it's Ryan looks under the bed, and there's the shadow of the legs of the spider. I actually found the shadows of the spiders and the kind of tension and build-up and threat of them more terrifying than the CGI spiders.
I see
So
what
at
you
the same time, I was like, I'm going to give you a visual kind of impression of how I would have watched this week's Doctor Who. So, you're enjoying this review, are you? You could probably have just switched it to the side and left the audio on. That's pretty much how I did it.
Yeah, it was. Do you think it would be too scary for kids?
I'm not entirely sure, right? Because I wouldn't say I'm an arachnophobe, but my kind of level of tolerance for spiders is in the middle. Now, I absolutely don't want to kill them when I see them, so I completely empathise with the Doctor by the end of this episode. That poor old big spider.
Yeah.
I was sad for the spiders by the end of the episode. I mean, I am all for a spider who enjoys a bit of Stormzy, you know?
Love that.
But I don't know if it's too scary for kids. I think you'd want to, like, judge how your kid feels about spiders first.
Yeah, so I don't find spiders that scary. I mean, I'm sure if I saw these big spiders in real life, I'd be freaked out, right? But you know what I mean. But seeing them in CGI form.
Can I just say, if I saw those big spiders in real life, if there was a spider the size of a car in real life, I'd be out that door.
What if it was out there?
Oh gosh.
It's not in here.
Let's not put those thoughts in my head.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think they definitely could have made them scary. I'm not saying that as a criticism. I think that they walked a line. I feel like they could have.
The further you got, the more the CGI became a little bit apparent, and I think it wasn't as effective.
Not as in we're not saying CGI wasn't good.
No, it was good, but I'm just saying it became more apparent.
You're more aware that that's not a real.
Yeah,
spider.
you get used to looking at
It's
them.
difficult to explain. I'm not saying that because I thought the CGI was actually really good.
Yeah,
and I
no,
thought they
it
were developed
was.
well.
But what I'm saying is, I think as the episode continues, the panic of, oh my God, what is that? Goes to, oh, it's a Doctor Who monster.
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
That's all I mean.
They're scarier when you're sort of seeing them in the corner of your eye.
Exactly.
And sort of scuttling away. The one bit I did find a bit was the bit when Ryan and Graham capture one, and then there's like 20 start running along the walls and ceilings.
And the bit where Chris Noth's character has just escaped the massive one, and he looks back and it looks like it's feeding on his assistant or his PA,
but it's
actually just webbing him up, but still, and then the man being dragged down into the bath. Oh.
Yeah. So, you know,
myself nightmares.
Hopefully no one watching this is going to be too scared to go to the bath or look under a bed. I probably shouldn't be telling you all these things.
Yeah, I was going to say, why is he listing these things? Are you trying to ruin all of our lives?
I basically am. But yeah, so, I mean, probably the scariest one of the series so far. I mean, none of the others have really come close.
I think so.
I'd be interested to see if there's any other scary episodes. I think there's one or two, like there's one with witches, which is supposed to be quite scary. But before we shouldn't get too bogged down in all the scariness, because there was also some nice family time. We met the Khans.
Yeah, so I loved this because I am a long-term fan of Coronation Street, and Shobna Gulati was Sunita in Coronation Street for years. So there was a real kind of treat for me seeing her play Yaz's mum.
Yeah, definitely.
And I didn't feel like we explored enough of what Yaz's family dynamic is proper. I don't think we spent enough time with the Khans, to be perfectly honest.
We spent quite a lot of time with Nadia.
Yeah.
But I kind of know what you mean, because I sort of thought, oh, this will be Yaz's episode, because I think I've said in these before, I feel like I really like all the TARDIS team, love the cast, and they're all really good actors, but I feel like maybe Ryan and Graham had a bit more to do than Yaz. And I thought, this is the week, we got Yaz's family, back in Sheffield, this is going to be a Yaz episode. And you kind of still didn't get that much from her.
No, and it's absolutely no fault of the actress at all.
No.
I think she's brilliant. She's really, really good, Mandip Gill. It's just that kind of since the first episode on, we've invested a lot in, Graham, Grace, and Ryan, and their relationship and how it was affected by what happened. And obviously because of what happened in episode 1, we were going to have to.
Yeah.
But we've spent a lot of time going through their family dynamic and their relationship, where they sit, where what they've been through puts them in terms of society, in terms of relationship with the Doctor. But with Yaz, we get it. Like, we're constantly told she's this character who wants more, who hasn't. But I feel like we haven't had enough of her backstory to understand why she wants more.
Yeah, I mean, it's presented in this episode and in earlier ones, oh, my family is really annoying. I mean, you meet them in the episode and they seem fine.
Well, her sister's quite. Her sister seems to have a thing for, like, don't crash.
Yeah, I know.
Stuff.
But I feel like it reminded me a bit of that thing in The In-Betweeners where Simon, Joe Thomas's character, his parents come in and they go like, "You're all right," and he goes, "Oh, leave me alone. Oh, you're so annoying."
So this is British comedy show The In-Betweeners, for anybody who's not familiar with. It's not suitable for younger viewers, just to warn you.
Yeah, it's not as family friendly as Doctor Who.
No.
But it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. And then at the end, she sort of leaves because her mum basically is like, "Oh, well, we're going to talk about these people you hang out with when you get back," and that's partly, I feel like, suggested. Yaz is like, okay, well then, maybe I should try and avoid all this. But that doesn't seem like that difficult a thing to avoid. I don't know.
No, I still don't it's not that I don't get Yaz, but I don't get Yaz. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I want to. I really want to because I think she's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to explore with her, and I can't wait to see more from her because I really like Mandip Gill, and I just think she's a little bit underused so far.
Yeah, we're almost halfway through the series, and yeah, I still don't quite have a sense of what makes her tick. Look,
Yeah.
she's a police officer, and that's really not come up very much. This week, there's a bit where someone pulls a gun on her. I thought she's going to go police on him. She's going to, this is going to be cool, and she just sort of hands up, doesn't react.
And even when Chris Noth's character was really condescending and was like, oh, what are you, a 15-year-old girl? Well, surely that was the time to say, excuse me, sir, I'm actually a member of the police force.
And you can't have that gun, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that was would have been a cool moment.
But anyway.
But look, I mean, there's episode 6 of this series, which in a couple of weeks is exploring Yaz's family heritage during the partition of India. So maybe we'll get a bit more.
I think that could be really good for her.
Yeah,
so.
good little showcase. We mentioned Chris Noth, the huge guest star of this week. It seems crazy we haven't talked about him yet already. Chris Noth, for those not in the know, is really well-known American actor. He was in Law & Order, the very first Law & Order, and Sex and the City, and The Good Wife. And now he's come to Doctor Who, which is bizarre. I think he's probably the most famous guest star of this series, right?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean,
one of
it
the
depends on
biggest.
how you rate
Yeah,
it.
it depends.
Really.
If you're a big Downton Abbey fan, I think you'll be enjoying some other people later
True,
on in the
yeah.
series. But yeah, technically by profile, I think by international profile, he is
Definitely.
probably the biggest guest star.
And he's also the biggest guest star in terms of his performance.
Yeah.
He is.
It's really out there.
He is acting. He
Yeah.
is big acting.
I think it's because as well, though, like, there's a great scene when they're in the hotel and everyone's like, you're that guy. And I think it was really cleverly written
It's
into
almost
the
like a
script.
double thing of like,
Yeah.
you're Chris Noth and you're...
And then we learn as we go on that he's actually going to be running for president in the US in 2020.
He's a slightly dubious sort of businessman / wannabe politician who was, it's sort of...
It's a bit of satire, I
It's
think.
a bit of a Trump thing, right? I don't think
Yeah.
that's because President Trump is brought up in the episode as someone he really doesn't like.
Yeah.
So he's running against him basically, and I think it's definitely playing on that.
Well, it's like it's this kind of American business magnate who is opening like either a resort or a hotel
Like a big
or,
golf
or a
hotel,
big golf
basically.
hotel.
Yeah.
It's Sheffield, it's not Scotland. But I mean, I don't think you'd have to go too far.
It would be that must have been in Chris Chibnall's mind when he was writing this episode.
Yeah, I mean, it must seem like it is, but there's a lot of the kind of US versus UK stuff comes in terms of gun control,
Yeah.
in terms of the way we treat people, just kind of his, I wouldn't say completely US, but let's just say that particular mentality.
Well, I think that's not even coming from you because that's something he says, right? It's
Yeah.
like, what's wrong with this country? Why can't you just shoot things like normal people?
Yeah.
Like that is literally something he says.
Yeah, so it's one particular section of US society, let's say.
Definitely.
And then we get a lot of the kind of, the Russians, are the Russians rigging the election?
Oh,
There's
the
all
Russians
these kind of
trying to take you
jokes.
down.
I mean, it's very
Yeah.
clever in that way, I think. I did quite enjoy that element of it. It did feel kind of like, even though we were having this weird spider episode, there was still an issue at the heart of it. I think they've gotten quite good at doing this series. I mean,
Yeah.
Doctor Who has always done this. I'm not going to say this
You
is
mean
the
like
first
the
time it's ever
environmental
happened.
stuff?
Yeah, but like the bit of the environmental stuff, a little bit of the politics of elections and rigging and all this kind of concept
Yeah.
of gun control. All those kind of different cultural issues, those conversations we're having, are kind of feeding into the series. Some people really don't like that. Some people say Doctor Who shouldn't go down that route at all, and I respect that if that's what you want. If you just want a bit of sci-fi, but as far as I'm concerned, it always has.
Yeah, it's always.
It's always done it in some way. Maybe it's not as
The Green Death, which is an episode which had these horrible maggots during the classic
Yeah.
series, that is all about pollution and the environment and things like that. Like and that was 70s or something.
It's
Like, that
just
was a really long time ago.
varying levels of subtlety, I think.
Definitely, and I think it's interesting. My one complaint about it actually was that this is silly because it's science fiction, but I thought the explanation for why the spiders were so big, which was basically we were doing some genetic stuff and then we sort of threw it in the sewer, and it got toxic waste on it and grew. It kind of sounds like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I was a bit like, I was expecting there to be some sort of extraterrestrial influence that was meant that happened, whereas it was all presented as something that could happen within Earth technology.
I mean, really what you're saying is you were just really upset that there was no shredder and there was no pizza.
Yeah, also at no point did one of the spiders yell cowabunga, which is what I was waiting for. I don't know about you. We've actually written a bit about the real science of this on radiotimes.com. If you want to check that out, we'll try and stick that in the description.
I know we noticed that at the end of this episode, Chris Noth's character got to walk away.
Yes, he
didn't die. Do you think he'll be back?
I think so. I mean, there's a weird trend this series of the antagonist, and I guess he is kind of the antagonist in this episode, kind of just leaving. Like the Stenza guy in episode 1 teleports away. Ilin, the guy played by Art Malik, teleports away.
Yeah.
Episode 3, you know, Krasko's just teleported away.
Yeah.
And then this guy just walks off. So
Yeah.
it kind of makes you wonder, you know, with him especially, I really thought we were going to get his comeuppance. I thought he's going to sort of, after shooting that big spider at the end, something's going to happen to him. But he just sort of walks off. And he's running for president in 2020. I'd be surprised if, maybe even not this series, maybe a future series, the Doctor and co. maybe go to America in like 2022 and find that he's president and he knows exactly who they are. And maybe he is like, you know, he's prepared for meeting the Doctor again.
Is he like the anti-Harriet Jones?
Totally. Or like when the Doctor, played by David Tennant, met Queen Victoria. And then she sets up Torchwood after meeting him as a kind of thing to stop him. Like, I think that would be kind of interesting. I really like Chris Knott in this episode, so I hope he comes back. Chris, if you're watching, you are loved.
Did you love Chris Knott? We want to know what you guys think as well. So don't hesitate to leave us your thoughts and opinions on the episode in the comments below if you massively disagreed with all the stuff we've just said, or if you agree totally.
Yeah.
And endorse this message. Don't forget to like it if you do.
Yeah, and you know, let us know if you were watching it through your fingers like Sarah. And yeah, whether you thought it was too scary or whether you thought it was just right for a bit of sort of early Halloween fun. But that's kind of all we've got time for this week, I'm afraid. Yeah, it's been lovely chatting to you as ever. And if you want to read more about this week's episode or Doctor Who in general, you can check out all the Doctor Who content on radiotimes.com. But yeah, thanks for watching. I've been Hugh Fullerton.
I've been Sarah Doran.
And goodbye.